Uh, Capo. It's so easy for us to get lost, right? Lost in love. I'm a grown man, I can tell you the truth. Hey Peter, I almost fell myself. When it get cold, it get cold. Something like Canada. I guess you can feel me on that one, right? You know.
Or a theater actor or film actor, broadcast journalist, master electrician, life coach, author. Like you don't necessarily think of that, and it's sad, but it's true. So I'm really glad to see the amazing things that you're doing out there and really putting those faces out there, because a lot of people look to media and look to entertainment more so than they do at the news sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So to have those faces and those stories being told in that arena is very important. So I'm super excited about every single thing you do, my guy. Always. All right. That's my guy right there, Troy. Next up, we have my man. I know he showed up in the building. I seen him here. There he is. What's going on? My guy, Reggie Waterman, is in the building. This is another one of my dear friends. I'm so glad you were able to make it. I know you're away from home right now. Are you in the middle of a forest or something, broski?
Yeah, kind of, man, kind of. I'm like in Meaford, Ontario.
Jeez. I don't know
I
where
know
that
y'all
is.
gotta Google that.
Reggie always gets those luxury.
Me far,
Yeah.
Ontario.
He gets those luxury Airbnbs.
Listen, Corwin, that's the name of my game, okay?
Jeez.
Living the dream.
Listen. Before the night, I'm just trying to sign up to Troy Crossfield House Productions. That's why I'm here. This is a casting call. That's all it is.
Here we go.
Let y'all know.
Sorry, done started already. You see what you did, Tyler Perry? You said you did Tyler Perry in Toronto, and now look.
The man came
what
with a
happens
Tyler
next.
Perry. I'm looking like Idris Elba. Is that you? Is that what's happening right
Yeah.
Trust me. But yo, this is my guy, Reggie. Reggie and I have been good friends for a long time. I can easily say at least more than a decade now. So I'm glad to have you in the building, Reggie. I love hearing your points of view. Talk to us a little bit about your area of expertise and some of the reasons why you've been able to be so successful at it, yo.
Yeah, man. Well, you know what? Number one, Mazel Tov to you and this whole
Hey,
entire
shalom,
production.
shalom,
Listen.
Shabbat
I had
shalom.
some time on my way out here. I'm like, okay, let's get the associations, let's get the references right, and that's one. That's like the most common one.
Check.
Yeah, check. Yeah, man. So no. Number one, thank you for having me on this, and it's been blessed to be in company with these gentlemen right here, all powerhouses. But what do I do? Specialize in marketing. So over 15 years of marketing experience, more in the corporate realm. That's where I kind of grew up. But now I've shifted gears into not just corporate, but more, small businesses, mid-size and so forth, and even individuals. So it's more about personal branding for me, but more of a brand consultant in terms of looking at the individuals, but also as a brand itself in terms of a small, medium-sized business looking to build impressions, build connections with just their marketplace, target audience, and so forth. But it wasn't always like this in terms of my mindset. And what I mean by that, Sean, is 2019 was my version of COVID-19. I always say that because that's when my mind just shifted big time. As I mentioned, I was always focused on the corporate space, and I always had goals. I'm going to climb that corporate ladder, get to that specific, get that title, and that's what it all meant for me. But it wasn't until life happened, got landed flat on my face. An entire industry just kind of kicked me out, and they said, you know what, you're done. And I was 12 years into like the telco space, and my time was up. But that setback was a setup, as they usually say, right, for what I'm actually doing now, and actually coming to form where I'm looking at, okay, well, how can I innovate? How can I evolve my brand? And I just tapped into my gifts. During that time when I was, down and out, I was unemployed. I was trying to figure out, what do I really want to do when I grow up? I actually built a program that is suited towards university and college students. and it's giving them the tools that they need to succeed post-graduation. So what I mean by that, it's like what's not taught in an average textbook. Well, they don't tell you about that bad boss, right? They don't tell you about how to establish and foster, build relationships. They don't talk to you about the politics within the work environment. So my goal is to equip these students, harvest the youth, which are the future leaders of tomorrow, because they're gonna have to keep me employed at some point in time because they're a lot smarter than me. But really and truly, it's investing in them and making sure that they are equipped to evolve this marketplace. So that's what I do with the colleges and universities. On top of that, I'm doing a bunch of things with, you know, I just got into this acting thing. So Troy's good. He's going to be teaching me a whole lot. Then I got Corwin who's going to be helping me market. And then Kevin's going to teach me how to like create my voice to project it a lot better. Because I want to do some animations and stuff like that, voiceovers.
Okay.
Voiceover work,
Reggie, work in the room.
this is his superpower.
This is not working. This is not working.
And this is his superpower.
This is my superpower. That's exactly it. No, but I also, so outside the workshops, you know, doing this, trying out this modeling and acting thing, and how that came to be. That was last year, just before the height of the pandemic. A friend said, you know, try this out. You might be good at it. I'm like, really? I'm like, no. Tried it anyways. And the reason why I wanted to do it was a mindset shift as well, is because I really want to really embrace rejection within that entire industry. And I have a newfound appreciation for everybody in that industry because it is super hard. You're getting rejected left, right, and center without no reason. Nobody's giving you anything, no sort of feedback, but you got to find it within yourself to kind of pinpoint where you went wrong. But it's opened up my eyes to different opportunities, added more value, added a new skill set to my tool belt, which then allows me to, you know, dovetail into different areas. Like I'm hosting a series on LinkedIn, and that's my world. LinkedIn in terms of, you know, live streaming, and I host a show called Discover Your Other Self that's talking about real life experiences, how we all, you know, hit rock bottom, how do we overcome those challenges and be successful, get back on our feet and so forth. And prior to that, it was, you know, having that particular show on Zoom where, you know, 20 odd people would show up, and I was like, let's just have a conversation because we're in this pandemic together. What are you struggling with? What are you dealing with? And then it springboarded onto LinkedIn, and now, you know, over 1,000 people would actually tune in to those shows because at the end of the day, they could relate to the real life struggle as opposed to talking about the fluff. We're talking about real stuff. How do we overcome? How do we build community? And, you know, how do we build together? So those are some of the things that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. You have so many things on your plate, Reg. I didn't even really realize you were doing all of these things. You're just messing around and taking pictures.
I know. I just figured. Listen, I had a long drive, so I was like trying to figure out like what's all the stuff I'm doing now. So
yeah, that's amazing.
Nice little long drive.
Amazing.
Can I just interrupt and say, like,
yeah.
I said this in the room, like, it's such an honor to be here with all these people, all these great talents, all these great minds, and I'm really hopeful that from this conversation, people will be inspired and that they would connect, because, you know, networking is one letter away from not working. So my prayer is that all of us really connect after this, and that people, when this goes out into the rest of the world, that they get in touch with everybody who's on this esteemed panel. So great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible that these bonds are here. Like, we're forming these bonds right now with one another. You know what I mean? So that's really incredible. And for Reggie, I mean, just listening to your story, I feel like the thing that has made you so successful at what it is that you do is the strength of your perception, my guy. Like, you were able to see these things within an external environment and within yourself on how to really capitalize on the opportunities that are afforded to you. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's really your superpower. You talk great and you look cute, but really the fact that you can see these things.
Pink
shirt. Sean, this is just a Snapchat filter. I know all the IG models. This is what they do. I've been studying them, and just different reasons.
Yeah.
No, the reason is to study their craft. But
I got you,
I
Shomar.
appreciate you saying that. Like, no, Sean, you know what's funny? You talk about networking, right? Like, and even Mawuli said it too in terms of networking and the value behind it. This place that I'm at right now, it's you know, my one of my ex-boss's places, and he invited me out here, and we've been connected for over a decade as well. But it's about maintaining and fostering those relationships because they're super valuable in terms of helping you land and take you on a path that you've always imagined, right? So we need to do a better job in terms of just opening up that net, letting people in, and just adding value wherever we can.
All right, the news reporter and me, Troy, Reggie. Okay, as a news reporter, I can validate my work when I still am employed. When I'm doing classes and people are hanging around after to ask questions, or as people send me a DM and they're showing me a new outfit that they got because they've lost 5 pounds, that's validation that I'm doing a good job. When people hire me back to host events year after year, but when you're getting rejected blindly, guys. How are you able to deal with that? Like, I'm able to go back after and say, hey, I can hear myself, I can listen to my voiceovers again, I can watch the events that I've done because a lot of it's been virtual, so I can kind of recap things. But how do you guys deal with the rejection blindly, where you don't even know why? You just gotta self-reflect.
Rooms like this, I think, have a good rebound, like a good go-to. Like Ryan's
Made a rubber.
mine.
I made a rubber.
Yeah, Ryan's one of mine, and just having like Troy said, just your go-to people. But I remember I have one friend. I have a few spiritual gurus that I call, when I'm really stuck. And one of them said, and he doesn't always give you the full answer, but he's like, everything that you are not doing, start doing. And then he hung up the phone. and it's like you figure it out from there, right? And you sit with it and write it out. Write it out. I'm still struggling with it at times, but say it. A lot of times we don't.
Right. And you're the next man that I want to talk to, Corwin. Again, this is my next good brethren, Corwin, known this man for years. Talk to us a little bit about your area of expertise and some of the strategies and behaviors that help you be successful.
I think my long and short story, you're gonna get both. My grandmother came here, and Ryan knows this story. Back in the 70s, she came through the domestic slave trade. Lived at Young in Davisville. So at a very young age, my story is like Damon Dash. I was like a Black person sitting in mansions and seeing art, and just regardless of there being racism or nobody liking you, was always just walking head high, saying hi to everyone just the same. And, I got called nigger growing up and all that, but I smiled with it because a nigger would react, right? So, you just always be that better person in the room, learn to pivot with it. And I think one of my weaknesses of it was just really being an empath, right? You always have high regard for everyone, and, you'd want the energy returned to you. So it happened that way. Ended up being a road manager to a pretty successful DJ who now went into media. My father was a restaurant consultant, right? So, and my father's also an activist. So I always had to play both roles and pivot from being an entertainment manager, and then pivot to being corporate, and then pivot to being, Black, right? So being all three, you figure it out. There was really no internet at that time. There was really nothing but a phone and a pager. And you kept things, I'm probably jumping in all your questions at this moment, but really just adapting to grassroots things again, and then just really just owning in on it, and changing surroundings, and you'll find it. I think one of a book that really changed me was when the pandemic just happened. I read The Art of Work. And a lot of times we're already doing what you love to do, right? It's unfortunate that we all have to go by titles and call ourselves things, but you're already partially doing what you were meant to do. And a lot of it's in our DNA as well. Because when you look at, like, my grandfather died last year short of 99, and he was like friends with like Nat King Cole, Malcolm X. He was a Maroon from Jamaica. He went to Jamaica in 1952. He was friends with Red Fox. And I only found this out when he was 96, because he was dying of cancer. They told him he was going to die a year later. He lived 4 years later because he denied You know, he denied the chemo, just went back to grassroots eating and eating just like your great grandfather would, and it gave him 4 more years of life. And I was able to like really ask him those stories that unlocked even like challenges I was going through with my dad and parents and whatever else. But you know, my parents are happily married 45 years, but you kind of, if you ever ask their parents how they were raised, if you ever got that chance, you'll find out those little things that will unlock, you know, the challenges that we have. So sometimes it's not our challenge, it's our forefathers' challenges, and you just have to keep asking. Back to Simon Sinek, the why, and go deep. We reflect externally a lot, reflect internally. You know, I said it on the last panel I was at. I was like, we always work on ourselves, neck down, but work on the top.
Yeah, you need to. You need to, for sure. And again, I feel like that like you kind of solidified it for me in the way that, again, the reason why I kind of brought you to the panel, and I feel like your source of strength and the success for you is like your sense of perspective, and the fact, like you said, you've been able to see things from all ends of the spectrum, from the very luxurious and wealthy to the very harsh and hard things, you know what I mean? So being able to put that all into perspective and having a good view of the entire spectrum allows you and affords you to do some of the amazing things that you've done. Be able to connect people that you wouldn't think that could connect, you know what I mean? That rich corporate guy with that hustler rapper, you know what I'm saying? If anybody could connect these two people, it's you, you know what I'm saying? Because you can see their perspectives from both their worlds. So
it's a holistic approach, right? It's like it's being 5D, and it's like when I say 5D, it's being aware of things before they even happen, you know? So, and I was able to identify with that. Like my grandmother told me I was born before I've been here already, but I'm like sent back here to, you know, finish unfinished work.
I kind of have that feeling sometimes too, that I feel like I've been here before. These things are familiar to me. I feel familiarity where I shouldn't. And that's telling me I may have been here sometime before.
Right.
I get those feelings too. I definitely do. You're an old soul, my bro.
Thank you. You too. I'm not the only one old here.
Yeah, we're older than old.
Yeah.
I'm not ashamed.
And look how we met, you know, we all, me, you, Ryan, I don't even think we even knew each other. We all hopped in a car to Boston when we were warned about a snowstorm that weekend, but we went anyway, off of the strength of the Raptors. And
times of my life, you know, that was one of my favorite.
Off of the strength of the Raptors.
Bring it back to Ryan, because Ryan is the next person who we're gonna go move on to the next part of the conversation. But do you remember that time? That was one of my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
And Ryan got to see them actually win. Like, we traveled to Boston.
To
watch the Raptors. Came back in a snowstorm where we almost died. Like 5 of us in a caravan or whatever the van was called.
We almost died in the snowstorm. We almost died in the arena too, because I wore a Raptors jersey and we're amongst like real Celtics fans. Like,
move up, Boston. Whatever, Boston. Oh.
Yeah, and Vince hit like a jumper to win it at the end. So we
it was dangerous
in them days.
It was dangerous. It was when Benzino. It was when Benzino was running.
Oh, okay. I thought you went like in the last couple of years.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's tough.
I'm talking like Source Award days when Benzino was like dangerous, and they're like, he's from Boylston. Where's Boylston? We're gonna walk there. We walk through the neighborhood and walk.
That was so fun. My favorite part was when we went to all the bars and thing after the game. Like, that was my favorite. Yeah, like I getting to see how the people of Boston reacted. But yeah, man, that was the best time. But okay, so let's keep it moving. We got a lot of people to roll through, so we got a lot more. So I think some of you may have kind of already answered some of these with what you were talking about before, but definitely I feel like if some of you have some very interesting stories, I think it would be excellent to bring them forward now. And I feel like this is always important, because it's important to know, to give yourself a reason on to why to do this, why we're doing the things that we do, and why we want to be successful at it. So I want to talk about some of the rewards that you've encountered and received along the way that make you want to continue doing this. And it's also important for us to be able to recognize challenges. If we can benefit from each other's experience and avoid challenges before they even come to us, let's do that. So, I mean, if you have any challenges that you encountered along your way that you letting other people know about this before they get to it will really help. Let us know some of those. So again, what we're going to talk about now is just some of your most rewarding rewards from doing what you do, and what are some of the most challenging challenges that you've encountered and how you got past it. So Ryan, why don't you kick us off, my bro?
Okay, cool. For me, to be honest, like they're one and the same. So I have two challenges, and they're basically like I could see them as rewards as well. The first one is you take a look at this panel, and everybody here is their own boss, their own man. But we still live in and operate within the world, right? So we're still reliant on people, whether it's peers, people that we're working with, customers, clients, people to go see a production that we're in, or to need our services, or to pay us for ideas or coaching, whatever have you, right? So we're still reliant on people. And for myself, operating on social media, most of my revenue comes from a platform that I don't own. So what if like TikTok just mashes IG tomorrow and my TikTok's not up? Or what if kids, they're just like, I'm not on this platform anymore, right? Or they just decide to shadow ban me. So a big challenge for me was figuring out using something that I don't tangibly own. What is like my backup plan, right? What am I doing in other venues so that I still have valuable regardless of like what this platform does or what trends do, especially within social media, because it's very volatile. Like what's cool today, who's cool today, who people will listen to could change in an instant. So this is definitely a challenge, but rewarding because like I've been doing it for about 8 years, so it keeps me on my toes. I feel like there's still relevance in what I do and my personal branding. So the second challenge for me is it was something that probably a lot of us face too, and whether it was what we're doing now, or a lot of us moved from corporate jobs before, and that's being like the only man of color in the room. I have the opportunity to work with a lot of great like independent restaurants and small business people, but a chunk of my work also comes from partnering with like large corporations. Like I've created content for the Raptors, for Google, American Express, Air Miles, Hudson's Bay. Like the list is big, and all of that stuff feels great. It's rewarding, especially if you're a fan of a brand, or you've been a customer and now you're a partner. It's huge. But a lot of times, I might be just, they're looking at my number, they're looking at my reach. They may not understand my tone, how I speak. A lot of times my messages they want to like change my messaging. I had a campaign with the Bay, and they wanted to call it in full color. I was like, you can't have a campaign with me and calling it in full color. Like, you have to, so
For real?
yeah. And I mean, it was, and so, being like representative of your race, of your background, of your culture in spaces that might not get you, may not understand you. Partnership is coming a lot of times because you're seen as what's like hot, but they may not have a vested interest in really who you are as a person or where your values are. It can be very difficult to navigate. Things as simple as like an Instagram caption where I may use what they view as slang, but I know how to communicate to my audience. These kind of things pop up all the time, right? So it's how do you navigate being true to yourself, and still being able to, forge these relationships, because although I do kind of, have at times felt stress or kind of like a heaviness of being the only person in a room, is I know like if I can get in there, then someone else can get in there if they see me. I have a social media account with hundreds of thousands of followers. I've never owned a camera in my life, right? Like I've never taken a photography course in my life. I didn't have a Facebook account until 4 years ago. Like I wasn't on social media. Like, so I shouldn't even be doing what I'm doing. There's people that are bolder, smarter, sharper, younger. So it's like, why aren't they in there? You know what I'm saying? So if I'm there for whatever reason, and I can act as like a beacon or inspiration, that's huge. There was a point when I didn't put myself on the eFamous account like the first 3 years. And then as the nature of the business, or I should say like social kind of change, and they implemented video, I started to put myself face forward as the brand. And to this day, the amount of DMs that I get from young Black content creators, photographers, food lovers, who are just like, yo, when I saw that you were Black, I flipped. Like, sometimes you feel like you don't need another check a day in your life, when that's the reality of what you're doing. Because again, like, I know these kids and they're way more talented, they're way more equipped, they're way more hungry. So for me to just be able to like literally stick a door in there and do something for them and see some of them grow, do bigger deals than me, have bigger numbers, like it's a win. So again, a lot of times you can see those challenges as the reward. Like, that's really like that gold medal, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. For you to be able to have that type of feedback from those people, I'm sure it's so fulfilling. I'm sure it's so fulfilling. That alone, like you just said, if you never got another check another day again, you could survive on that. You know what I'm saying? So that's good. And the challenges that you face are hard too. Like, again, this is why I wanted to bring this group together, because I feel like we face challenges that other people do not. You know what I'm saying? So it's a relief to hear that you encounter these challenges and that you're someone like you can get through those challenges and still be super successful. And that, again, is part of the reason why I brought everyone here tonight, so that we can see that. You know what I mean? Often we don't get to see that. It is now tangible for us. We can see how to succeed. We can see a roadmap. And I think we can build one for all of us and for everyone else tonight too. You know what I'm saying? By just taking some of the things that. So yeah, that's incredible. Thank you, Ryan.
Sean,
thank you for that. What's up?
that was good. Hey, Sean, can I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
Maybe one or two people can answer each question so we can get through a couple of different questions.
Yes. Okay.
Right? So you ask one question, maybe one or two people answer, and then that'll move us through, you know, different people can answer just a different question so we can get to maybe another 2-3 questions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Suggestion.
I know time is moving and we've got a lot of panelists. You're absolutely right. Maybe this is a good way to do that. So
and the sauce is brewing. The sauce is brewing.
Yo, quiet, man. Quiet on the set. Quiet on the set.
Man, just
More lemonada, please.
I had to re-up on mine still. But yeah, trust me. Yes, no, that's an excellent point, Danny. That's an excellent point. So maybe what we can do, we'll have Danny answer this next question, the same question, and then for someone else, for our next speaker, we'll move on to the next question. Unless you really feel like, if anybody has some really interesting rewards or challenges that they want to bring up, please feel free to bring it up after Danny. So Danny, for you, what were some of the things, what were some of the most challenging challenges and rewards that you've
You can call me that Dos Shacky nigga, Philippa teeth on the wrist, long arms, and this water I'm a whale, move a bird like Bird